Welcome to the Big Roofs podcast where we talk to successful roofing contractors and industry leaders about how you can build a bigger, better, more profitable roofing business. We're your hosts, John and AJ, and today's guest is John Starry, owner of Steadfast Roofing. Thanks for joining us today, John.
Absolutely excited to be here.
Well, let's we were getting into a conversation right before we started about how the last few weeks have been a little bit better, at least for John in Georgia. How's things been for you in Florida the last few weeks?
We have definitely been capturing a lot more opportunities and getting in front of people is what really matters. And we've made some changes to our business though as well. Just brought a new site supervisor on board. We have a local on-site presence at every job. That's making a huge difference for us. People are knowing who's working in the neighborhood. And end of the day, I think we just provide a more polished sort of experience from that very initial inspection until, post job cleanup and everything that happens thereafter. So people people recognize quality a lot, especially in some of the neighborhoods we work in down here, and that's really played well into our favor. But things have definitely been ramping up.
Yeah, that's good. Do you think it's just coincidence, or do you think it has something to do with the recent political events?
I am I'm not going to chime in on that part, but um, I think there is definitely a greater confidence in just people's decision making at this point. So I, for example, I had a lady that I had reach out to me initially last February, and due to the amazing automations and follow-ups with ProLine, we were able to kind of keep connected with her throughout. And just last week she had signed on for something that they had been kicking the can down the road for the last year. So there's definitely a lot more people today making decisions on a big project like a roof replacement than what had been even a month or two ago. So I'm all for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
I do have a question for you for Steadfast. Do you know currently the percentage of retail versus insurance work that you're currently doing, or in the past, I don't know, 90 days, 6 months, something like that? Do you know
Yeah.
the breakdown?
Absolutely. We are almost completely a retail driven business. And there are a lot of larger companies in my backyard here alone that are just really struggling to maintain, keeping their doors open at this point, just because they had relied on that if one door doesn't open, knock on the next one mentality and things. And like, while I do think that canvassing and door knocking is absolutely important, we build our business based off of a retail model. And it definitely bodes well for us in both retail aspects and with storm damage and insurance claim sides of that. So people want to know what they're getting.
Yep.
They don't just want to know that, hey, you can get your roof replaced for the cost of your deductible. They want to know, like, all right, well, you're going to replace my roof, but what are you going to be putting on my roof? And having that process and like a presentation in place that like really informs them along the way of, like, what's going to happen day of the build, what's going to happen leading up to that, like, am I going to know when the crew is going to show up? Like, all those things, like, a lot of people just leave out. And when it comes to inspections, even that part, we are so thorough with that. We're pointing out things that nobody else really took the time to explain, like ventilation. there's so many roofing contractors down here that don't understand the importance of ventilation, or not to mix certain types of ventilation and things like that. Attic inspections, they don't happen. Like there's so many pieces that get left out and not discussed with people. A lot of people just think that, like, hey, I'm going to replace their existing shingle roof with this type of shingle roof, and that's going to be good enough for them to know, because they don't understand any of the other stuff. Help them understand what they're getting installed with, and it 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 is done really, really well for us having that retail mindset in any situation that we approach.
I love that. Second follow-up question to that is, you're in Florida, it's 2024. Not talking about hurricanes necessarily, but how much rain have you had this year? Have you had average, below average, above average?
Compared to last year, it's definitely looking up from there, but it it's been pretty dry here for the past week. But I mean, it's Florida. I mean, we'll have a rainstorm just come out of nowhere, and then it'll be gone in like 2 minutes. So it's rain definitely helps the phones ring. I will say that, because it makes more, you know, the most important part of their home, which is their roof. So but compared to last year, we've definitely, but definitely a fan of more of that coming.
Nice. Same. So Athens, Georgia is northeast Georgia, about an hour from Atlanta as our other office. And then Savannah, we live on Tybee, which is on the ocean in Georgia. And we've been so dry. Yeah, we'll have those pop-up rains, but we have not had consistent heavy rainfall like we did last year to show those issues. And people will just ignore them. If it's not dripping in their house, they'll just ignore it. They'll just, until there's an actual really heavy, consistent rain. And we've had those recently, and they've definitely helped the pain points of, hey, you needed to get in it. We've gotten a lot of roofs that we've inspected. We got a roof we inspected 5 years ago this week.
Mm-hmm.
And it needed to be replaced 5 years ago. And it's like, we've followed up with them, and they finally just reached out. Hey, we know we have needed a roof. It's funny how that works, and people always are waiting for the prices to go down.
Yeah,
for
and
us,
never seems to happen in roofing.
It's wild, and it's like we're not lying to you, homeowner. We're not. It only goes up. Roofing is unique. It goes up and up and up and up. And I promise you, we're trying to help you. Especially, like, we're recording this on July 30th. A lot of people are going to have crazy price increases August 1st.
Yep.
Or August 5th or August 15th. And it's not a small amount. Like in the old days, people would freak out over a 0.25% increase or a 0.5% increase. Now it's like, 4 to 8% increase. It's like, that's not a small amount of money, considering how much roofs already cost. So
absolutely,
all those things are definitely playing into the busyness of our business, at least.
Yeah. John, you mentioned I'm gonna have to say a different John.
Starry.
I'm gonna figure this out. John Delore, what's your middle name?
Michael.
I'll call you Mike. Can I call you Mike? John Michael. There you go, John Michael.
My Xbox name is Old Man Mike, so.
Old Man Mike. Okay.
Come find me.
John Starry. So you're saying that you lean towards a retail model. By that, do you mean that when you do have insurance jobs, I'm sure you still have insurance jobs, do you run those as retail jobs, or do you have a different process for the insurance ones?
No, I mean, if there truly is, so the market here in Florida, I think, is unique to anywhere else across the country. And what I mean by that is, like, you go to some other markets and things that, insurance is the name of the game. And if you're not doing insurance stuff, then you're not gonna be around long, right? Um, down here, there is such a negative stigma in regard to just door-to-door guys, roofing contractors, and like insurance down here in Florida is an absolute mess. They have definitely put some things in place down here that have actually made it harder and more expensive for people to even afford to live. But if there is damage on a roof, we take the stance that, we will absolutely make them aware of it, right? And what they decide to do with that information is completely and entirely up to them. But in regard to helping them file an insurance claim or, showing up for adjuster meetings, things like that, like we are as hands off of that stuff as possible. We don't get mixed up with trying to get lumped in with some of these guys that are out here, knocking on doors and telling people that they can get their roof paid for through insurance and things. At end of the day, I mean, yeah, there's still money to be made in doing that, but that's not the top priority of why we're even around, I think that we can do roofing better than pretty much anybody else down here. And I think we can provide a better experience to any homeowner that we end up serving. And that's really the story that we try to, give to every person that potentially considers us as their roofing contractor. End of the day, if they do have damage and they want to file a claim, like they have the information they need to go after and doing all that on their own. And end of the day, we should have built up enough of a trust factor with them where they wouldn't consider another roofing contractor to even replace their roof. So, if they choose to use us after the fact and they do go that route, we're here and we'd love to help them. But we're not going to be the ones sitting there pushing them to file an insurance claim because it's not doing anything to help the situation within like homeowners insurance here in Florida. And would just rather not be lumped into all that.
Yep. No, it makes sense.
Same boat.
You're saying that the future bodes well for this model. What did you mean? What did you mean by that? What specifically do you see kind of changing in the market that you think the retail first model is the future?
So, I mean, a lot of new policies that are getting written down here in Florida are ACV only or they're percentage based, right? So, people are not going to be able to avoid like heavy out of pocket costs. When a roof is 15 years old and it's a 20-year product, I mean, how much are they really going to see as far as? So I think a big part of the incentive for people that had gone that route in the past is kind of swept under the rug at this point. We're, for people that can't afford it, financing and retail model is absolutely going to be what's going to keep us going into the next year and the year after that and provide us longevity and things, right? But unless something drastically changes in regard to the way that insurance policies are being written or, how that whole side of the industry is down here in Florida, I really don't see ever making a shift to cater to the insurance side of this industry.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you think that's specifically for Florida? Do you feel like that's going to come to other states as well, or do you think that's something that's unique to Florida?
I believe in the past, like Florida has kind of been like the guinea pig for some of these changes that have, influenced, insurance policies and things. I could definitely see that dipping over into other markets outside of Florida for sure.
Yeah, that just may take some time.
Like Georgia, for example. I mean, isn't that pretty much just as strict as what it is down here, John?
Oh, it's not strict at all. It's horrible. It's like night and day. So one thing you say, if you're not a roofer listening to this, watching this, Miami-Dade, we hear that all the time. That's like the standard. Miami-Dade is like the standard for all these roofing products, like how well it can handle storm. So like you're right, Florida is kind of the guinea pig for like products, for insurance policies. I mean, Florida is unique because it's just sticking out there in the ocean. And so there's a lot more storms statistically, actuarially for the insurance part of things. There's a lot of other policies that are just unique to Florida too. Um, but yeah, no, Georgia's the complete. I wish Georgia was like Florida. There's no license in Georgia. It annoys me to no end. There's now one thing I don't love is the inspections you guys have that slows jobs down. 1 day jobs turn into 2 or 3 day jobs. I don't like that. But again, we don't really. I wish there was a happy medium. Honestly, I wish there was licensing. I wish there was um, just higher standards in general. And I'm with you 100%. Well, I don't know if this is exactly how you feel, but I was an insurance agent and I'm pretty much against all roofing contractors who just go for insurance work because more likely than not, because there's lots of money to be made and people have made tens and hundreds of millions and billions of dollars to at this point manipulating the system, fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting a system that is a game so that nobody wins at the end of the day. It's all short-term winning. People make commission. The homeowners get a new roof. They may or may not pay for the deductible. There's just, I just wish that would go away. I wish that there was, if you have a 22-year-old asphalt shingle, you shouldn't get a free roof. Like you bought the house, you lived in the house for 22 years. You should have to pay for that roof. Like
at that point, it's a wear and tear issue, and anybody that says otherwise is really not in it for the right reasons, for sure.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's Georgia. It's the frustration that we have constantly where people are like, we have to watch what we say because we have a certain standard where at Peach Roofing, I'm like telling my guys like, hey, just be really careful what you say because they may have gotten this approved and there's no reason for it to get approved. The homeowner may have already gotten it approved and they're just looking for, deductible eaters or whatever. You just don't insult them, but that just
and that's what we run into more often than not is whenever it comes to insurance, like there are a lot of people that do go about getting roof claims approved on their own and things. And then the thing that kind of irritates me about that is they don't let us know about that. So after we complete the job,
like a secret.
I'm still waiting on my other check from the insurance. You couldn't have
yeah.
told us about this before we got all this going. But
that's a whole other thing where I mean, right now we're waiting for money. Our accounts receivable, our AR has gone down way, even for insurance work, it's gone down tons. Tisha has really helped me manage that. I mean, we were like small little company having like $200,000 or $300,000 of AR, ridiculous. And yeah, we almost never have like $60,000-$80,000 ever. And yeah, customers just won't tell you. And then you're like, we need to get paid right now. And they're like, oh, it'll be a while. And then we're waiting right now. It's been 2 months for a job and they don't have the ability. They won't let us advocate for them. And then we're like, hey, you still owe us $10,000.
right.
It's been 47 days. Could we please get paid? We're just following up. I know it's the challenges that we face.
It is.
Yeah. So this has been a good conversation, but let's I have some questions. I want to know more about your your background, John Starr. I want to know how you ended up in business, and I just want to hear that story. When was the first time that you were like, I'm gonna be a roofer. I'm gonna be a roofing contractor.
Oh man. So all through the mid 2000s up until I moved down here to Florida, I had kind of worked part-time for a home renovation company on my days off and weekends and whenever I really could get out there, right? But it wasn't until I moved down here that I got into the sales side of roofing. And I mean, the thing that kind of did me in is like every roofing company that I had worked for had basically promised this and that and like, you know, promised the world and delivered none of it, you know? And I was just extremely tired of getting taken advantage of and, you know, thinking that I was going to be working with somebody that would do the right thing and, you know, stand behind what it says what they say that they're going to do. And, you know, it came to a point where I just had enough of the promises and like, I knew that I had to make a change for myself, for my family. And, like, end of the day, man, there's a little piece of God in all of us, right? And I think if we kind of lead with that and our conversations are kind of driven by that, we can do a lot to actually influence the world. And we can do a lot to influence the decisions that people that we have opportunities with make. And, you know, the last roofing company that I had worked for, I was very, very transparent with. Even the one before that, I had made my intentions known that, you know, hey, I'm going to be going to get my own license eventually. And I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but the most recent one that I worked with, I told them, you're going to have me for at most a year. Literally within 10 months, I had branched off and started my company. And, you know, I just wanted to do things a little bit differently. You know, I mean, it is construction. So it's basically, you know, organized chaos for the most part, right? Not everything is going to go right 100% of the time. But when those things don't go as planned, like, do you point to a line in your contract and say, well, I told you about this, this isn't going to be, or do you just do the right thing and, you know, save your reputation and, you know, get that potential disastrous homeowner to be an advocate instead of somebody that's going to negatively influence your perception of others that could potentially be a customer of yours down the road, right? So that was absolutely at the forefront of whenever I decided to like start this whole thing. I planned a lot for 2 years before ever starting my company. Like I knew the products that I wanted to use, with the exception of one that I now currently offer, which is actually this middle option right here. But anyway, like I wanted to provide people with products that I know stand up down here in Florida. I wanted to provide people with good workmanship from in-house crews that are not subcontracted. And in the event that something were to happen while we were out there performing their project, I did not want them to have to worry about like the what ifs, right? And that is what we lead with, and that is what our entire like process is all about. And not every customer that we talk to is our customer. And I completely get that. And honestly, there's some people that, you know, we just need to walk away from. But the people that truly value like a quality install and a quality product getting installed, like we are absolutely the company for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that focus on the quality and on the experience and not trying to serve everybody necessarily. I imagine you have to walk away from deals where they're just you know, a good bit where they're just looking for the cheapest thing or they're just looking for someone to eat the deductible or
I mean, they're again, I mean, from a retail aspect, there's a county literally half an hour drive from me, right? Polk County, and there are so many contractors out there that subcontract, which is actually illegal to do in the state of Florida. And a lot of people don't really touch on that. But number two, like, they have cheaper labor, and they don't build margins into their estimates that actually would keep them around long term. So what we run into more often than not in that county is, they get this roof for a super low price, like 350 a square or whatever it is they're selling for out there, super low. Before you know it, they have an issue. They have a leak on this beautiful brand new roof, and the company that they had install it is either not around or not answering their calls or not doing anything about the issue they're experiencing. So they end up calling us, we fix it, and end of the day, I mean, did they really save any kind of money by having to pay for a new roof and then also have us come out and pay us for the repair to get it done the right way? And all too often, I mean, we don't really win a lot of business out there because not everybody out there is really comparing apples to apples when it comes to, the products getting installed, the labor that's actually installing those products. They're looking at the price tag, and we're not going to win every situation where the only thing that's important to them is a price. But whenever we're competitive with price and we also back that up with quality labor, those are the ones that tend to kind of flock towards us a bit more.
Yeah, it makes sense. Do you have any specific strategies that you kind of, from like a sales perspective, sales, marketing, technology, how do you find those people and how do you present that value? Because that's something that, I mean, even we with ProLine struggle with this, is because we're a little bit more expensive than some of the other CRM platforms. But then, we have a lot of this functionality like the phone systems that nobody else has. And so I think this is something that, across all of business, how do you communicate when you're not the cheapest? Because being the cheapest is not a good strategy. When you're not the cheapest, how do you communicate your value in a way that makes the price difference make sense? How have you been able to accomplish that?
So, I mean, just asking those initial questions, before you ever even get up on the roof or anything, I mean, finding out like, hey, is this your forever home? Oh, it is. Great. Or are you ever planning on adding solar? Finding out like what their plan is for the home, right? That kind of gives us an avenue to take. We have multiple different shingle options and things. We have multiple different ways that we can lay down underlayment and things, that all meet Florida building code and things down here. And just finding out like what is most important to them before we ever even like get up on that roof. In addition, I mean, we walk around the perimeter of the property with the homeowner. We point out some things that we can actually see from ground level. And then we do our inspections. We get up into the attic. We take a look at the ventilation. We take a look at potential issues around like some of the critical spots of the roof. We take note of any kind of damage. And like after we're down, we get our proposals put together, our quotes put together, and then we go over everything with them. We show them the photos first, we show them their problems, and then we show them the solutions on how they can actually resolve those problems by hiring us, right? And a lot of people don't take the time to really go into that. They go into like talking about why the shingle that they install is the absolute best ever, right? I can basically derail any of those conversations that people had in their minds, because like end of the day, like I'm not somebody that really thinks that manufacturer warranties are really going to mean a lick of anything end of the day. So that's why I offer multiple different manufacturers products, and I don't want them being just lumped into like having one option to choose from. I want to offer them differing options for, whatever it is that's actually going to best suit their needs. So, but a big thing that makes us a bit different than how some other people around here do it is when they call us for an inspection, we are delivering a quote to them same day during the appointment, all within a 1 hour window. And a lot of people will email those off, or they'll write it down on a piece of paper and they'll hand it to them. But giving it to them while you're there and actually going over like all the different options right in front of them, it means a world of difference to our success in closing these people. Like, now a lot of it doesn't happen like right on the spot. We don't do like 1-day closes. We're not like high pressure sales guys or anything like that, but we give them a heck of a lot to think about if they're not deciding to work with us, that day. And any contractor that's going to come after us is going to have some really, really big shoes to fill.
Love that. Do you know what your close rate is right now?
Mine or my team's?
Your whole company.
We hover just under 50% right now.
Nice.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
Super strong.
Now, let me kind of provide some clarity to that, because like we have a lot of leads that come through that don't actually substantiate into an actual appointment.
Sure.
I'm only looking at our actual like appointments where we actually get out in front of somebody and meet them in person. Now, I also send out, remote estimates and things that, sometimes you're dealing with realtors, or you're dealing with like home investors or flippers and things. And like, I don't want my time wasted with anything like that. I don't want my reps' time wasted with anything like that. So factoring those out and actually factoring in just the ones where we actually get out and meet with a homeowner, we're hovering between 45 and 50% on average.
Nice.
That's incredible. That's a really
But
impressive.
now the source of the lead also, that can also play a factor in our overall close rate and things as well. So like our organic leads and things, people that actually seek us out and or come to us as a referral, like our close rate with those are going to be way higher. But factoring in other marketing efforts like Facebook and things, like we might need to meet up with 4 of them before we get one of them closed, right?
Sure.
But overall, it all balances out, and we have a really, really good ROI on all the marketing efforts that we're actually kicking out. So
nice.
Awesome. What have you found to be the most effective marketing? Like what's the one that, if you had an extra $50,000 just to spend on marketing, where would you put it?
Man. So the only things that I actually invest in right now are local service ads and on Google and Facebook and Instagram. Instagram's more of a brand awareness sort of thing than it is like an actual like lead campaign. But Facebook, I hired a marketing manager that's been doing an exceptionally good job for us. He's gotten our overall cost of lead down to under $100, which, end of the day, like that's substantial compared to like where I had been with other avenues like pay-per-click and things. So to answer that question, I would basically divide that between local service ads and more Facebook advertising.
Yeah, that makes sense. Have you been able to get those Facebook leads funneled directly into ProLine?
Yeah. And
awesome.
The beautiful thing about that is, I had tried social media advertising in the past with a different CRM. And then I switched over to Go High Level because like our speed to lead, like our reaction time with just really hammering those, like the moment they come in, it was not where we really needed it to be. But with ProLine and the way that I have everything set up there, the moment that we get their contact information, man, they are just, getting a text immediately. And that is like, that has been so huge for us. Even when we can't pick up the phone and call them within the first couple of minutes, like just having that text in front of them. And then whenever we do get around to actually making that phone call, like they already know who's calling them. They already know who we're with. It has been an absolute game changer as far as like our success rate with social media. And anybody that doesn't have a good speed to lead campaign and like isn't able to really just dive in on like your advertising that you do on social media, like you're really, really missing like a huge opportunity to capture a lot more business.
Speed delay, it's so critical. It's such a low hanging fruit thing too. It's if you set up right, it's completely automated. Um, so it's, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
And it's
that you have it set
important.
up.
I mean, that's what the customer wants. We know this now. The customers want that. They want to be listened to. Everyone wants to be heard. But it's also important the way the automation is delivered. It's real, like people, oh, it's fine. It's just like some random. No. You can't get an automation right underneath the same random automation that they're offering 20% off these blue jeans. It's got to be a direct number. It's got to be something that's meaningful and unique.
Local
That
number.
actually, it makes an impact. If it's a local number, that's like they're connecting with a person that's part of an organization, that's really, really impactful. We see the exact same thing. Everybody loves Kathleen. Like, this is amazing. Like, it's just, and she loves it too, because if she's on the phone, automations are going out and they already know who Kathleen is before she even calls. It's the best.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Just our ability to convert those, what I had otherwise thought of as just being a like really poor lead source, it has turned into absolutely one of our best sources of leads. Just because we filled in a critical area that we were really missing prior to us making the change to ProLine. So
yeah, I see that. I mean, there's a lot of lead sources that get a bad rap. And Facebook is one of them. Another one, a little controversial, but another one is Angie. Angie gets a bad rap. And a lot of, I've seen it so many times. It's like these quote unquote bad lead sources. You get it hooked up to a really great speed to lead, and all of a sudden that bad lead source turns into a great lead source. It's like completely flips. And it's like, oh, well, who knew if you just responded faster, you would get more of the leads. So that's awesome. That's awesome to
Yeah.
hear.
And don't underplay that enough. Like, the timing does matter. Like, it does have to be within seconds. You can't just say, oh, that doesn't matter. Yeah, it really does. Because we we had a lead like this afternoon from Yelp. And Yelp actually has been a good lead source for us. And we try to be like very quickly, but that whole messaging system they have in Yelp is not as fast as I would like it to be.
it's
So
horrible.
people will
Yeah, connected. I think.
message you and you're having to message them back on the Yelp messaging. That's fine. Okay, whatever. We have a system for that to make sure we manually do that. But like the delay, somebody actually puts their phone down. So you're not getting the same experience that AJ is talking about on other lead sources, because it's really fast. And yeah, Yelp has actually been surprisingly good, but it's a struggle. Thumbtack's the same way. It's like you have to message in their little thing and you can't connect it. And so we're not able to get back to them within 20 seconds because people put their phones down. And then you're messaging them in the app and not answering. So yeah,
Yep.
definitely frustrating, but we're trying to work those other lead sources as well.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue with us and Yelp is just you get none of their like real pertinent project information, right? You don't get their actual address. You don't get a way to even communicate with them.
Yep.
So the messaging on those, like, yeah, it has to happen pretty immediately. And then on top of that, you need to dig in and really find out like where do these people actually live? Because all I have right now is just a zip code.
Yep.
And like I've turned all that off at this point. I still get a lead every now and then from Yelp, but I, down here in Florida, at least, it has not been a very impactful sort of way to kind of spend marketing dollars and things. So
Yeah, we don't run even ads, and we get leads from it. And we honestly need to do a little more organic work with our Yelp accounts, both for both locations, because everybody else thinks the same thing. Just what AJ just said is like, oh, it's a bad lead source. Well, we sold 2 really, really profitable jobs from Yelp in the past 12 months because
Yep.
nobody else responded, and we did. And they're like, I guess I'm going with you guys because nobody else is responding. But it's not currently not an efficient way to scale that, but it is definitely profitable for us because we're not spending any ad dollars. No ads at all.
Right.
And we're just responding. Who would have thought?
Who'd have thunk it? I think so. I think you and I had talked about like external booking pages before for events through ProLine. Did we talk about that? Yeah, I think that was something that had wanted because you were talking. I think you'd asked me if you should use Calendly, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever end up using Calendly, or are you holding off?
I went with an alternative to them, but I honestly I've been trying to get some other things kind of like prioritized over, having like an actual booking page.
Yeah.
But then I learned that you guys are actually working on implementing a booking page, and I'm just hitting the brakes until I see what you guys come up with.
It's actually done right now,
Oh,
but
you.
but we have to wait on it's contingent on another piece that we're still working on. So I think it's probably 2 to 3 weeks away from launch. But yeah, I'm excited because what I'm really excited about is how you can have speed to lead depending on where they're coming in from the website. Maybe the flows are a little bit different. You'd still want to have speed to lead, but you might be able to provide direct booking. But if it's from another lead source like Facebook, they're not going to be booking the appointment yet, but you can put a link to your booking page in the speed to lead. And then you
Yep.
can be engaging them and offering that, hey, just FYI, like you can schedule an appointment right here.
Right.
And so I'm excited about having that kind of setup.
That makes two of us.
Yeah. So
It's a really big deal because when we got rid of Calendly actually recently, because we're waiting for this booking directly in ProLine, and we used Calendly forever, but it was a really effective way in the automation that people would schedule. It's cumbersome to go to a different scheduling page. Like it still may be similar, but it's just another thing you got to pay for. Another piece of software that doesn't necessarily connect as closely as like something that's built in directly into ProLine, which I'm really excited about as well.
yeah. Yep. It should be really good. We're kind of figuring out. We're really rounding it out. There's going to be like dedicated landing pages if you want that, and all kinds of cool stuff. So that's going to be really exciting.
Love it.
And I'm not sure about the starter plan yet, but the plan you're on, John, will have it. So we were originally gonna like have it be on our top tier plan, but we just decided it doesn't make sense. We're just gonna let pretty much everyone use this because it's gonna add a lot of value into ProLine. So cool. What's kind of what are you looking forward to the most right now, John, looking at the rest of the year, Q3, Q4? What's kind of the big things coming up that you're excited about?
Talking to me, which is John.
John Starry.
um
Not old man Mike.
so I had one of the biggest things that I'm looking forward to as far as something new that I'm implementing in the business right now is and I'm not trying in any way to bash any kind of competitor or anything like that, but I have been using roofer proposals, and They look fantastic. They're pristine. They do what they need to do. But I am in process of converting everything over to ProLine's proposals and quotes. And I have been the one kind of testing that at any kind of estimation or appointment and things that I actually run, and just really trying things on for size, making sure that everything actually equals out to what it's supposed to and things. Because if I make a mistake, it's not going to be quite as impactful to, the business as what it would be if one of my estimators actually went and made that mistake, and then I have to pay them commission and pay for the cost of the mistake because I didn't do something right. So definitely looking forward to streamlining more and more of the aspects of my business and things into the features that are built into ProLine as we get deeper into the year. And other than that, I mean, I'm ecstatic about, like, I feel very, very blessed in the fact that like our first year in business, we had basically done a hair over 3.6 million. And we had already passed that threshold by the end of June this year. So we're on track to really double what we did last year. And I think a lot of that I can associate with just the additional processes and automations that you guys have helped me implement in my business, just through everything that you guys have baked right into ProLine. So hats off to you guys. But
Yeah, same to you. We're incredibly grateful to have you, and for you to, believe in ProLine and put it to work. So it's awesome to hear. I love to hear that.
it's a very competitive market down here, and the fact that we're able to make even that kind of an impact is phenomenal. So you guys definitely do things right, for sure.
I appreciate it. You've provided a lot of really good feedback. So been implementing your ideas pretty consistently. Yeah, we had I think the easier like setup for calculations has been a huge hit. That's made things way easier for a lot of people. So
It's just because I'm dumb, man. I'm not very good at math.
yeah, it's I have a tendency, and this John helps me with this a lot. John, old man Mike here, helps me with this
Madden,
a
that's
lot.
my
But
Xbox
I'm
Live, man.
Xbox
Gotcha.
Live. I'm more of I'm a tech guy at the end of the day. I've worked in John's business a lot, so I know the roofing industry. But at the end of the day, I'm a tech guy, and when you're a tech guy, you have a tendency to overcomplicate things. So that's why John and I work well together. Is that we kind of balance each other out in that way. I run past stuff past him, and he's like, "This is way too complicated. It has to be simple." So that helps, but not everything gets caught. So some stuff slips through. The measurement calculations were one of those. And we do. I think right now we have the best system of any platform now, because we have both a simple kind of templated approach that you had suggested that makes it really easy for like 95% of cases. And then if anyone ever wants to do something more complex, they can still jump over into our original like calculation formula builder and go absolutely crazy and build out, a logarithm, a whole like algebraic, calculation to do whatever they want. And so you have both options now. So I think that really puts us in a great position.
The yeah, the fifth grade math is definitely more my speed. So thank you for making that implementation.
I got you. So cool. Well, let's kind of wrap up. We will usually end with a question. We do need to get like a hat with multiple different questions, and then we need to pull out a different one. I can't think of any new ones off the top of my head. But the question we usually do is just, what are you looking forward to the most this week? Is there anything like coming up this week that you're excited about?
Yeah, I'm my uncle is in town from Pennsylvania, and we're going to be traveling out to Orlando to meet up with my cousin and my uncle and get dinner with them. And I'm going to get them to say a bunch of, I'm going to try to convince my cousin's wife to say a bunch of dirty Greek words that, you know, but anyway, just looking forward to spending time with family, especially extended family that I don't really get to see very often. So, other than that, though, just gonna keep on trudging on here and running the best business I can. So,
That's awesome. That's good stuff. John Michael,
Looking at the tide charts right now.
tide charts. So you
Tide,
going
yeah, I
fishing?
look at tide charts because I live on an island and I have to, and now I have a boat. So I'm looking forward to it's gonna be a morning high tide on Saturday. Taking the boat out.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. You gonna do some fishing?
I don't fish.
You
I
just
don't
just
fish. I
boat.
just we go and we find new islands to go to, little tiny islands that people just hang out. We just got the boat, so we're just, you know, riding around the coastal waters of Tybee Island in Savannah.
Love it. Love it. It's my birthday this weekend, so I'm gonna do some stuff with family and hang out on Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be
Nice.
good. So,
well,
all right.
happy early birthday, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. So yeah, we'll wrap up there. John, thank you so much for joining us. It's been fun.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see everybody next week.
Bye, everybody.
Take care, guys.